start off with a question. So how many of you have ever been told to do something, but then halfway through you stop and thought, what's the point? Maybe it's always using the same magical font in every single one of your Sunday assessments. Maybe it's always showing step-by-step calculation of every single math problem just to get credit, even though it could be so easy and so clear. But today I want to talk about something possibly bigger. Something we've all been asked to do at Keystone with the best intentions, but that often end up feeling, pointless. Service actions. Look, I'm not saying it's a bad idea, it's a beautiful idea. How can you develop as a holistic person, passing it forward, helping other people, and making the world a better place, right? But somewhere between the inspirational posters and the frantic rush to log hours of management, just so you're not unconcerned like me, something gets lost. We have to be honest. How many of us have treated service like a chore? Like something you just have to do to graduate from Keystone? I'll go first. So when I was in grade 6, I was first introduced to services actions, like many of you. And the first program that I joined was an international pep talk program, or as some of us called it back then, how to go someone with permission across continents. So back then, I was a very curious, passionate, young soul, trying to figure out how to make a difference in my community. And by taking on that role in the program, I have set my mind to become one of the change makers in my community. But that's not how things turn out. How the program actually turned out is, you get paired with a student in another country, for instance, Rodrigo in Spain. You send them a letter, hola, ni hao, adios, bye, and then you start ghosting them forever. It's not your choice, because the organizer the next day, they just disappeared. No reminder, no structure, no one telling you what to do next. And the grade 6 me, how could I figure that out? And Rodrigo, a year later, is still left waiting for a response that will never come back. That was obviously not Rodrigo's fault, and it's not my fault. I was so young, so passionate, so eager, so innocent, right? So it's the system. The fault lies within the system that should serve us as a one-time exchange event rather than a long, sustained impact. So I think it's fair to conclude that popularity doesn't equal impact all the time. And this isn't just my story. When I was talking to my friends across the different international schools, not just in Beijing, but also in other countries, I realized that one service program was very popular, and that was English service trips to rural Chinese areas. A lot of schools do this. So a group of students, they fly to a village, and then they teach the kids how to chant apple, banana, good morning, how are you? I'm fine, thank you, and you? And then they hug a few kids, they take a few selfies, they post it, put it on a matchback, and go home. I'm not saying that's not helpful. Of course, it could be in many ways, but after the kids go by, the volunteers go home, the local teachers will have to erase the board and then restart their lesson plan, having seen a dozen of groups do the exact same thing. So, this is the problem. We are treating service like a math function. We input X, a few hours, dedication, a few days, weeks, years even, and we take what's getting out for granted. Warm, fuzzy feeling and a matchback imagery that's sobering and approved. But that's not how service should be. What if service isn't about doing something, but about learning someone? If we do not center the people we claim to serve, then it's not a service. At the very best, it's a performance. And performances end when the audience leaves. And that is not how we should treat services. I learned this lesson when I was in Nepal, Kathmandu, when a group of students from Keystone flew to Kathmandu, Nepal, to build them a library through the Moonlight Foundation. This happened last December, and the story I want to share happened on an evening. We were sitting on a hillside overlooking Kathmandu with the sky blazing with stars above our head that we can never see from back home. And one of the students, Anita, she's the one beside me there in pink, she shared a story about her story with Moonlight Foundation. So a quick info session about Moonlight Foundation for those of you unfamiliar with it. It's a foundation, a Nepalese service foundation, dedicated to empowering students through education, especially targeting the underprivileged children in Kalamazoo. So Anisha, she benefited from this program, and she had actually gone into one of the best nursing schools in Nepal, which isn't the usual case, considering her original family may not be the most well-earning. So this couldn't have happened without the service of the Nepali Foundation, Moonlight Foundation. And before she left out for college, she actually stayed back and took on a caretaker role at the foundation. She had two of the kids, the younger generation, in the same classroom that she was once educated in. And that was the point for me. That was the revelation. Real service doesn't create dependence, but it creates actual leaders. And in Anisha's case, she was the leader of the community, of the younger generation, and of course, of her own life. That's like an old saying in Chinese, 授人以鱼不如授人以渔, meaning you give one fish and you feed them for a day, but if you teach one to fish, you feed them for a lifetime. That's the difference between checking boxes and creating actual change. The difference between performing service to being of service. But as high school students, we don't have that much experience, we don't have that much maybe time, maybe energy, and maybe resources in general. So how do we make that shift? How do we reach that point? Here are two perspectives that I would like to share with you standing here today. And the first one is ask better questions. Instead of asking, what can we do? Try to specify it down. Two, what are you already doing that we can support, and what's one practical thing that would make your work easier? Because if we cannot stay long enough to make an actual impact that lasts, we have to collaborate with someone who can. In Keystone's case, it might be the Moonlight Foundation that we're collaborating with. And two, measure what matters. Instead of only using the metrics measured by Manager, which is how many hours did you donate into this? How many books did you raise? How many money did you raise? Try also implementing the metrics of, is it still helping after we leave? And are local people still leading it now? Anita's graduation degree and her nursing degree, that wasn't a part of the project outcomes list. But it's a genuine impact made by genuine service. So real service leaves something behind. Long after the photos fade, long after the books need replacing, and long after the volunteers go home. We cannot stay there forever. The books, they will wear out. The shelves will need replacing. But Anisha's dream now being carried forward will only shine brighter as the day go by. And that will only happen if we stop being well-meaning tourists and become real collaborators. That will only happen when we don't have performative charity, but genuine solidarity. That will happen when we stop prioritizing our timelines over their actual needs, our savior complex over their actual solutions, and our resumes or college applications before their results. So that night, under those impossible stars in Nepal, I realized that service isn't something we do to others. At the very best, it's something we do with others. And that kind of service, it doesn't just change communities, it changes us. Thank you.